Caitlin. How are you?
Good. How's it going? Can you hear me okay and everything?
Yeah, I can hear you totally fine. Tell us in your own words who you are off Instagram.
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like it's funny. I mean, I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody. It's because like, oh, you know who I was talking to about this? Baked by Melissa,
Oh my God. Yeah.
who I love.
Love her
Um,
mini cupcakes. I'm on her gifting list and I'm very
yes, that's a
appreciative.
good list to be on.
Yes.
We were just talking about like your online persona and who you are and I get like a lot of comments, people saying like, "Oh, you're so real." um and I'd like to think that I am, but it's
hmm
funny because there is obviously a choice of what and how I'm presenting content. And even though I like talk about those like dark moments of motherhood or like losing your real shit on your kids or things like that, those are not the moments that people actually ever see me in.
Right. It's not like the cameras are on 24/7.
No. And like,
Yeah.
not that they should be like, nobody
No,
needs that much of somebody
we're
else's
not in
life,
like Big
right?
Brother. No.
Yeah. But, um, but I think I am a lot of how I seem that I am.
Yeah. It's so hard because like for me on Instagram, I find that I have to separate who I am from what I put out there on Instagram because then I'll just like take it so seriously and never put anything out there, you know? Because I just like, if you're concerned, someone's always going to have something to say about the content that you put out there. And I'm like, if I'm putting up fashion and beauty stuff, then they're going to think that all I care about is fashion and beauty stuff. And then I'm so vain. It's just so hard because like it's great that you get to choose what you put out there, but it's also, it's not a full picture of like who we really are. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, where were you emotionally and creatively when big time adulting was born?
Yeah. So, not in a great place. So when I started big time adulting, it was late 2018. I was pregnant with my third, and my oldest had been in treatment for leukemia. He started his treatment in late 2016. So we were 2 years into his treatment at that point. And actually, I should say, like, I was probably doing better than I had been because we were reaching a better, more stable place with his health at that point in terms of just like progressing through his treatment. It's like a,
Mm-hmm.
a specific protocol that all kids with this diagnosis have to go through. And it's long and it's horrible. But thank God he is okay.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
God.
it's
I am so, so sorry. It's just like a parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, and I felt like that at the time, but now after having gone through it and seen like the real worst nightmares, I just feel so grateful and lucky to be where we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank God for that. But at the time that I started this page, I was leaving the job that I had. Full time. Like I was working mostly from home because of Callum's sickness and stuff, but he was going back to school, which was great. But I had to be kind of on call for him at all times, just in case of emergencies with fevers, because there are these protocols. If a child has a port in their chest implanted, you have to get to the hospital within an hour if they have a fever. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be right there.
Around available. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my mind if I don't do something that's kind of more for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I had been writing a blog about what Callum was doing. About it was really like, from my perspective, sort of my experience as a mom going through this experience with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had really wanted to write a book, and I had kind of been told that you had to have pretty much a following if you ever wanted to get like a proper book deal
Mm-hmm.
or a publisher to take interest in you. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll start an Instagram page and see what happens. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's how it all that's how it all started. So I was in like a very probably chaotic, crazy state of mind, not that much different, but a little lower stakes now that my son is through treatment.
Is
And
actually, yeah, is healthy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So What was the content that you were creating at the beginning? Like, was there a specific moment or theme that you were like, I need to talk about this?
Yes, I feel like when I started, it was similar vibe of just like realities of motherhood, but I was doing like more sharing, some sharing of like other people's content and like memes and that kind of thing, and playing with different formats of a page and how to create a following and that kind of thing. And when my third was born, I started just like posting pictures of me looking like hot garbage postpartum, like
How we all
feeling horrible.
actually look. Yeah.
Yeah, like feeling horrible, looking horrible, sleep deprived, like pretty miserable
Mm-hmm.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
and writing about that. And obviously, like chucking in some pretty humorous language around it, probably. Um, and then it really started to catch fire, that part of it. I think it was just being really raw and real
Mm-hmm.
about what I was going through and showing up like as I was, not curated, um, is what kind of, I think, started to set me off on this path
On
of
that
where I'm
path.
at now. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like similar to me. When I did I love my baby but I hate my pregnancy, and we filmed it and it was like very raw and I was feeling disgusting and I looked disgusting and I was like had crusty food next to my bed and I was just really like vulnerable about how much I hated being pregnant and even used the word hate in the title. And like I remember telling my mom I was going to do this and she was like, "No, Whitney, how could you?" And I was like, "This is just how I feel, mom." And I remember the day before putting it out, I was like, "We're not doing it. I'm not putting it out there. This is awful. Like everybody who has fertility issues and all that stuff is going to hate me and I'm the worst." And then I did it, and like luckily, probably same to you, it was majority like, thank God that you're showing this, because I'm so sick and tired of being fed what it's supposed to look like and it just doesn't.
Yeah,
So
there's so much guilt around sharing authentically what a motherhood experience is like. And the more I've like thought about that on a much deeper level,
yeah.
like the more and more I feel like it's sort of part of like the patriarchy, like keep women happy in their roles as mothers and make it joyful and make it look easy, because if it's not, then what's the real value in it,
Right.
right? Like if it just comes so easily and naturally to women just because they're women and everybody loves motherhood, why do we need to give you any credit or help or support? And
Did you ever worry about being too honest or raw online? Like before putting things out there, do you ever worry about what people are going to think?
yeah, I mean, like naturally, I think is that sort of human hesitation of, is this too far, or am I going to like offend anyone, or is this too over the top? Little by little, I think I've really stopped worrying about that because of so like the validation from my community, and the people following me and the people commenting. Of course, there are like plenty of negative comments out there, but at this point, I think it's
They
more
get it.
clear to me that there's a group of people who have really benefited from some of the things I'm saying. I think on another level, I worry sometimes about the way my content might be interpreted by my kids as they get older and more sophisticated and stuff. But I'm really honest with them now about the way that I share and what I share, and show them a lot of my material and stuff when it is kid-ish appropriate.
How old are your three boys?
So I have boy, girl, boy.
Boy, girl, boy.
And
Excuse me.
then my oldest is 11 and a half, 9 and a half, and about to turn 6 next week.
Oh
So
my goodness. Let's talk about something we often forget. Our lips need SPF 2. I always am reminded of this the hard way. I cover my face with good sunscreen, but forget my lips as I'm heading out the door. With just 3 layers of skin compared to 15 on your face, lips are more vulnerable to sunburn, fine lines, and premature aging. And painfully crackly sunburned lips, not so cute. That's why I'm obsessed with Iris and Romeo's Weekend Skin Lip SPF 30. It's not just another lip balm, I promise. It's a complete lip lip upgrade. Iris and Romeo's Weekend Skin Lip SPF 30 is the first of its kind lip balm oil hybrid with mineral SPF 30 and moisturizing color to protect the delicate layers of your lips. It has no white cast, no aftertaste, and is formulated for sensitive skin. It comes in 3 wearable medium tint shades designed to enhance your natural lip color. I've been using the shade Dawn a ton, and it's truly perfect for me. Just enough color to make me feel awake and polished without trying. A hydrating lip oil with mineral SPF built in is something I've been missing, and Iris and Romeo is killing it with their clean, minimalist, and modern essentials. Visit irisandromeo.com and use code WITHWIT at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. That's IRIS and ROMEO.com and use code WITHWIT for 20% off your first order. You were sharing about Callum's experience and that journey a little bit, and I wanted to talk to you about that, just about grief and resilience and how you utilized humor, a lot of humor in that time to obviously pick yourself up and get yourself through that. How do you personally hold space for humor and sadness at the same time?
It's a good question. I mean, at the beginning, when Callum was first diagnosed, which was he was had just turned 3 years old, for months, a couple of months, I just didn't really feel like laughing or smiling. I was so sad. You know, it was just when you say grief, that's I think I was really, really mourning the vision that I had for my life as a young mom and for my child and his childhood. Because especially since this whole process, like when we went in there and met with the doctors originally and discovered his diagnosis, which was via a blood test, he had just not been feeling himself. And we were really worried about him for like 3 weeks. And sort of it all came on kind of quickly, like life changed very quickly. Um, and when we got the diagnosis, it was kind of like, what's the plan? You know, how do we treat, how do we move forward? What do we do? And I was like, you know, is this 6 months of chemo or whatever? And then it was like, no, this is almost 3.5 years of chemo. And so that was at that point longer than he had been alive. And I was like, holy shit, you know, this is a long time. We are in this for the long haul right now. So that was really hard to just wrap my head around, but like little by little, and I had started writing to family and friends. And through that writing, I think I was able to like use humor and just through the things that like the kids would say or do and make fun of them and make fun of myself in the process. And it's always been a coping mechanism in a way that I like to sort of bring myself out of the dumps, I guess. So, and there is just, if you don't like, it is true. If you don't laugh, you will cry, you know? So that's sort of where I think I've just come from with that. It's just a way to feel better than it is than worse.
Completely, completely. And how did you find yourself showing up for your 2 other kids during that time? Because I feel like so many moms, whether they can't relate because they don't have a sick child, hopefully, but there's so many things that happen to us, obviously, as young moms, whether we're dealing with sick parents or money stress or divorce or whatever it is. Like, how did you show up for your 2 other kids? I mean, for your 3 kids, obviously. How did you show up for them during that time?
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, it's funny. This is something probably everybody will relate to. Like, once, if there is something wrong with one kid, all of a sudden the other kid has caught on to that kid is getting attention and something is now wrong with them. Like, if like one of my kids gets hurt, like another one of them will be like, my foot hurts, you know, like
It's just
I
the attention
scratched my
grab.
finger. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need a band-aid. And you're like, you're not bleeding.
You can only deal with one sick kid at a time.
Yeah. Um, so it's hard because like when you're dealing with something of such gravity with one kid and you're, you know, luckily I think that what was great about what was happening at my kids' ages is that they were so young that they really didn't understand what was going on. So I could sort of pretend as if to them, like hide my stress, angst, and just sort of be there for them as best I could. I honestly don't know. Like, did I do a good job? I guess time will tell. Maybe like we'll all be in therapy one day and my kids will be like, "You were the worst." Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all just kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
Like nobody really knows. You're just doing the best you can with what you've got. And I think the only things that I could say like tangibly helped me along were to have a couple of people who I trusted to be able to help me with the kids. Like we
Uh-huh.
had a babysitter that was with us since when I had been working in the city and stuff. And then
Yeah.
like my mother-in-law or my parents and stuff that I could get out and go for a long walk and or visit with a friend and take like some mental breaks
Time for
from
yourself.
the pressure of being on and the primary caretaker in that kind of a situation all day,
Completely.
every day. Cause it was like, you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't touch anything. Like germs are the enemy. And yeah, so it was a shit
I
show.
can't even imagine. Were you able to take care of yourself at all during this time? Or it was like, that was not even
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the extent. In some ways, I'm like, maybe I set aside more time for myself then than I do now because
interesting.
we were going through such in a pressure cooker that I was like, people are always saying, make sure to take time for yourself and
Like this
whatever.
was so dire. You were like, I will actually do it at this
Yeah.
point. But now nothing seems as important or dire or worth it.
Yeah, like it's kind of fun. Like when it's not life or death,
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever, I can survive. And just kind of then it's like death by 1,000 paper
It's
cuts, which
so
is
true.
sort of where I'm at right now.
Oh God, no, we have to get you back on track.
I did get that massage
Yeah, you
today.
got it. You
So
got it.
yeah,
Today's the first day of the rest of your life.
that's
Okay.
right.
So on to just like motherhood and just like the realness of it. What do you think is like the realest thing about motherhood that nobody prepared you for?
I think that you would hate parts of it,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody ever said anything that truthful and real to me. And nobody wants to. And I get that. And I understand why you wouldn't say that to somebody. But I also just did not expect it at all. That there would be parts of motherhood that I downright disliked a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I really was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel like there's this conversation, obviously, with balance, but not about even balancing your time and whatnot, but how do you balance necessarily your identities of like being a mom versus just being yourself?
Mm.
Do you ever
I
deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think time helps
Yeah,
because like the further you get from like the baby actually being in your body, the like more autonomy you get little by little. And then before you know it, you're able to leave your kids at the house alone while you run an errand and maybe go out for dinner with your spouse. And then it becomes like a little bit more, oh my God, I'm a person again.
completely, completely.
Um,
Like you have your body back, so you're right. You have your autonomy.
yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things right now that you're hating doing?
I fucking hate meal times with my 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old. He like legitimately ruins every dining experience we have, whether it's like cereal at the breakfast table or out to dinner, like trying to do something nice with them. He will find a way to ruin it.
The
It's
ruin.
just like he wants to turn like the microphone to himself. He probably feels like we're all talking about real things and he's not part of it.
Completely.
So he's like, I don't like this and I don't like any of you and I'm going to make you suffer.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing that comes to
I
mind
feel
for
like a
me.
lot of moms would be in your same boat with mealtime. Mealtime can be difficult.
It's such a weighs on me every day. Like, what are we going to eat? And so like, and what am I going to choose to feed the family
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
everybody will just, I like to say, just shut the fuck up and
And
eat.
eat it. Totally. So everyone can just eat in silence. I
Yeah.
used to actually really not like bedtime. Like I used to
Yeah.
dread bedtime because I feel like I was honestly, it was a phase where I was letting Sunny walk all over me. And so it was just getting so drawn out. And it was like a 2 hour thing. And honestly, I had to take the power back and be like, you need to make this enjoyable and more succinct. And I did. And now it's like an hour, which is better, but I don't dread it anymore. It's like it's a routine. There's 2 books and there's brushing teeth and like, and also it's age. Like as they get older, it just gets easier. Like it really
Yeah.
does. I mean, I'm sure it's going to get more complicated in various emotional ways, but
For me, it's gotten only just better.
mhm,
I do truly think that there are just people who are more equipped to deal with different things.
completely.
And um, it's really hard when you're seeing your kid going through some kind of an emotional struggle or a social thing, or they're getting made fun of or picked on or something like that. And I've had instances that have things like that have happened, and
Mhm,
it tears you apart. But I'd literally rather go through that with them than a 2-hour bedtime
mhm.
any day of the
I
week. Like,
completely agree.
let's
We want to have a second child, but I'm like, if I could just have like birth a 5-year-old, like I don't need to go through the whole baby toddler phase. I don't.
yeah.
I sound like a monster, but it's true.
No, you don't sound like a monster at all. I just think you're just being honest about what a lot of people feel.
Yeah,
It just is really treacherous
it
during those
is.
early years, and
Yeah.
you're not getting enough rest, and not being rested is
Is
also
everything. I
it
learned it
is.
really is everything. I went to a off topic, like an Alzheimer's event the other night, and they were saying that sleep is really the number one most important thing for brain health and
Mm,
like how we behave and our happiness is just sleep, nutrition, water,
yeah.
and then like love. But so
First things first, sleep.
yeah, exactly. First things first is sleep. So, me and Tim talk a lot about raising Sunny in a world where it feels like things are constantly changing. And like every other parent out there, a huge topic is social media and technology. Obviously, it's a huge part of our lives. So, even though we're still quite a few years away from Sunny being on social media, we're already talking about how we want our son to interact with it when he gets older. And I know a lot of my listeners are in the same boat. Some of you guys already have tweens and teens. So I was so excited to hear that Instagram introduced Instagram teen accounts. It's an automatic set of protections for teens that they've built to address parents' top concerns. I love that Instagram teen accounts were built to give parents peace of mind that their teens are safer with the right protections in place. Things like making their profiles private by default, having automatic contact limits so they can only be messaged by people they follow or are already connected to, and content restrictions, which limit sensitive content they see in places like Explore and Reels. You guys know we've talked about screen time and parenting on this podcast before, so I love that Instagram teen accounts has things like time limit reminders and sleep mode, which will mute notifications overnight between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. And all of these settings will be automatic, so no extra work on parents. Instagram is automatically placing teens into teen accounts, and teens under 16 will need a parent's permission to change any of these settings to be less strict. Basically, Instagram teen accounts will limit who can contact teens and the content they see and help ensure teens' time on the app is well spent, and I am so down with that. You know how I've been seeing these memes of like type A mom versus type B mom? And I'm so curious, like, if you label yourself or like what kind of vibe mom are you? Are you organized? Is everything planned? Like, are you somewhere in the middle? Like, what's your vibe as a mom?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably like a type F or G
Yeah, that's how
mom.
I
I don't
feel.
know. Like, I don't know how far away we get from A, but
Z.
where the categorization like ends.
Yeah, we can make it up
Um,
ourselves.
but yeah, no, I mean, like, I do like a certain amount of order,
Mhm.
and like I hate it when my house is like a real mess
Same.
because it takes my focus away from anything else. Like I can't start thinking about content that I want to create or whatever when there's like a ton of dishes in the sink or things like that. So in some senses, like I probably am a little bit more buttoned up, but I don't have a lot of like, I don't have systems. I feel like
Mhm.
that's like a type A thing is like when people have real systems for how and when they want things done. And I'm just like, fucking, I'll do it over here now and rush over here and do that over there now. And like my pantry is a mess and my kids' closets are messy and our playroom looks like a bomb went off every day and that kind of thing. So, sometimes I'm, like, buttoned up
Uh-huh.
about things, but for the most part, I think I'm
Pretty chill.
non-methodical.
Yeah. And do you think that that serves you? Sometimes do you wish that you were more methodical? Have you like given in to that kind of way you are? I'm
I don't
like
know.
asking for a friend.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this very thing so much recently because I do feel overwhelmed a
Yeah.
lot, and I actually don't know any moms that don't feel really overwhelmed. I sometimes think I need to be a little bit more methodical, but then I also have like fear of commitment. I'm like, I don't know if I can. And where's
Actually
the
do
time?
it consistently. I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be like that, but I don't, that doesn't really work for me. Like, I'm not going to feel like doing that every single day. And I want to really run with how I feel in the moment and be present. But I know
Yeah.
it's like two things colliding.
Like every now I'll kind of use this as an example. Like my pantry, I said this already, but like my pantry's a mess right now. And maybe like once a quarter or something, it will drive me so crazy that I have to rip everything out of the pantry and start fresh. And then that day and for the next like week, the pantry will be organized and in order. And I'll be like, I have my
Shit
shit together.
together.
Um,
You're like, I
look
need to
at
have
this.
people over.
Yeah, look at this food museum. And but it never stays. Like, so I'm not the person who is going to do that upkeep to keep it. Like, it's not going to be at the top of my priority list all the time. And I don't know how the people who are able to do things like that or keep things like that don't have like constant around the clock help
Help
also,
how they do it.
how they're doing it.
I
Yeah.
know. I mean, my husband is kind of like that. He's like very routine and structured, which is hard for me
Okay.
because I'm all over the place. But sometimes it just comes naturally to people. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, okay. What's one adulty thing that you actually secretly love doing?
I really I really like watching birds and like doing garden outdoor work, yard
Amazing.
work and stuff when the season is nice, like when
Uh-huh.
it's nice outside. There's like nothing more I like than to like walk around my yard and prune plants and flowers and things like that.
When did
So
you start doing that? Was this a
I think when
recent
I
thing?
became a homeowner, like
Okay.
when I was pregnant with my first kid, we bought our first house and that's probably when it sort of started for me. Like this is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it's really embarrassing to admit that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
It's
love it.
not.
I mean,
It's
I guess it's not. It would have been embarrassing like when I was 20 or something.
completely.
Yeah,
So, I mean, not even though. I think it would have been cool if you were doing that at 20.
maybe.
I think so. Um, so what does like a day look like for you right now? I'm sure it varies, but with the kids involved, like your actual day from the second you wake up till going to bed. You don't have to get into real detail, but
Yeah,
just kind of give me what your
generally
life looks like.
a quick day in the life.
Yeah.
Wake up is like probably between 6:30 and 7 most days. It varies like time of year sometimes with like when the sun is rising.
Oh,
I don't know.
interesting. It's not
I
based on kids waking you up or an alarm. Like it's just a natural body wake up.
well, it is kind of based on them, and I think it changes like every 6 months when the clock's set back or go forward or whatever, their schedule changes
Mhm.
and then mine changes.
Okay.
So I just get used to being woken up by them, and then I get used to waking up like a couple of minutes before they wake up
Yeah, so
every
interesting how
day or
our
whatever.
bodies do that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. So that's wake up. Then I sort of will maybe do like one or two task items on my phone first thing in the morning, which is, I know you're not really supposed to like look at your phone when
Well,
you
it
wake
just
up.
depends who's saying what, but you got to do you, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
And then I head downstairs and get breakfast started for the kids, make coffee, and myself. I eat a full breakfast every morning.
Good.
I love breakfast time more than life itself. And then we get everybody off to school. Their school starts at 8:45.
Are you part of
And
drop off or does your
y-
husband do all the drop
no,
offs?
my husband does nothing. He's gone at 5:30 in the morning to
Oh
go to
my
work.
God. Oh,
And
because so
I
he works
shouldn't
in the
say it like
city.
that.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I get what you mean.
he's not available.
Yeah, fair.
He recently started to make lunches, and he'll
Mm,
make them at night. And when he can't, I'll do them. And now I'm doing lunches at night, which is something I always like I rolled out like the
that's
last
very
thing I want to do
adulting.
after yeah, it is actually.
Very.
But so that is one thing that has fully changed my mornings. Like I dread the morning so much less now that I'm not making lunches and breakfast right when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's I mean, to
So
do three, yes, you need to do
yeah,
that. Ugh,
it's a pain in the ass. They all
yeah.
like different things. And so they get to school. I usually then come home, sit down, go through emails, maybe do some brainstorming of things that I want to say about my kids to the
Yeah.
internet. Um,
Do a little dancing.
do a little dancing. Yeah,
Love the
that's actually
dancing.
like kind of the time of day where I'm so excited after drop off. I'm like, let's dance.
Great.
And then 3 out of 5 school days, I go to pick them up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I set out to go get their pickup done, and then the evenings are usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have my babysitter come, and she just kind of takes over for the evening.
Afternoons, yeah.
And but that doesn't mean like I'll often help with like driving to different activities, sports. Like today she comes, but my son has lacrosse, and we'll have to figure out, what time is dinner
Right,
and
right, right.
blah blah blah. So it's
Well,
really boring.
but it sounds exactly like mine. It's pretty it's boring, but it's not. I mean, you're still doing a million different things during the day, but it's
Yeah.
not boring. What time does your husband get back from the city or from work?
Yeah, he usually gets home from the city around 7.
Okay. So like
If
to
he
say
doesn't
goodnight to the
have
kids. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Where are
sometimes
you
earlier.
guys? Are you guys in
We're
Connecticut?
in
No,
Westchester.
Westchester.
Yeah. The
Amazing.
burbs.
Suburbs. I'm coming to New York on Friday. I'm excited. Not to Westchester,
Oh,
but to the city.
yeah. For work or for play?
For a little bit of both. One of my best friends is having a baby and it's her baby shower and she lives there and I really wanted to come see her pregnant. So I'm coming for that and then like adding on work to it to make it worthwhile. And then going to
Awesome.
DC actually to lobby with March 4th, which I feel like you would
Yes.
want to get involved with. And we
Yeah.
can talk
That one.
offline about that. Kitty
Yeah,
probably
she
reached out
reached
to
out to
you.
me about that date. I can't make it because I've got 700 things going
Yeah.
on next week
700
already.
children.
But she kind of just told me about it.
Yeah,
So
no.
yeah.
Zero pressure, but we'll get you there at some point. It's really, really amazing. It's
Yeah.
special. Um, so do you feel with pressure to like always be relatable, or do you feel like when you're brainstorming, you're just like, what do I really want to say and talk about? And that's just what I'm gonna put out there. Like how much of it is really coming from you versus what you feel like people want to see?
I try to base it off of things that are like authentic to what's actually happening in my life right now. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm always hoping to make it as relatable to the masses as possible
Mm-hmm.
without, like maybe not offending anybody
Right.
and making people laugh
Right.
and not being boring.
Yeah. And how do you decide what stays private?
I don't really ever show my kids
Okay.
on social media. Every now and again they're like popping into a story, and I showed I've shown them in like pictures here and there in the past, but as they've gotten older, I really kind of keep them out of like my content.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if I should
and
do that.
yeah, I mean, you can think about it. How old is your son?
He's 7.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just like my content, it has a certain level of like controversy around it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in terms of what people may think or say.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want my kids involved in that part.
What's one thing that you hope someone listening today feels a little less alone about?
Hmm. I think that just to know that the way that you feel about your motherhood experience is okay. Like, however it is that you feel about different aspects of parenting. Like, one thing in particular that comes up a lot is like, I'll say that I hate imaginary play and even like most forms of play. Um, that being said, like I'm very playful. Like
Mm-hmm.
I joke with my kids or we dance or sing and I'll tickle them or like I'll play catch with them or do like physical stuff with them, but I'm not a real play mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't care what anybody thinks about that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just knowing thinking about those things, and if there's something that you feel guilty about that like you think that you are not doing well enough or that you need to enjoy or something along those lines, no, like what you are as a mom is good enough as
Mm-hmm.
it is,
Mm-hmm.
and your personal strengths as a person are matter, and that's okay. You don't have to, you can be an individual type of a mom, not like what you think a mom is
Should
supposed to
look
be.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you always had this like confidence like in yourself and as a mom, or was it something that has been built over time where you just like know who you are as a mom and you're not comparing yourself to other people? Because it feels that way to me. Like you really know who you are and you are confident in that and feel good in saying your truth.
I think that I'm not willing to make myself miserable um to appease either society or what a societal vision of a perfect mom is or any of
Mhm.
that shit,
Mhm.
or even for my kids and what they necessarily want of me or ask of me, or so and so's mom did this or that. I'm like, well, I'm not so and so's mom. I'm me. You know, do you want so and so's mom? I can see if I can work out a deal. But like that kind of pressure, that would maybe like eat away at my soul a little bit if I succumbed to it or was doing things that did not feel authentic to me or true to me as a person.
Mhm.
I can live with it if it
Mhm.
was the wrong decision because I was following my gut,
Right.
my instinct. And nobody's perfect. You know, I'm not saying I'm doing it right or I know the way to do it. I just know the way that my inside is telling me to do things, and I have decided that I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful place to get to and to be in. So before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you.
Big time adulting. That's really the only place
Yeah, and you're
on
writing a
Instagram.
book. Tell us
And I'm
about
writing a
that
book.
journey. That's so fun and amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it. I really love writing. So the
Yeah.
whole process thus far has been kind of a joy. When I can set aside time and sit down and write, I feel like I really lose myself a little bit and have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
The book won't be out for like over a year. So,
Okay.
yeah, don't hold your
Well,
breath.
I'll have you back on right before, and then we
Yes,
can talk all about it.
perfect.
You're so fun. You're the best. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
I loved it. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Everybody go check out Big Time Adulting, all the fun, real motherhood moments that will just make us feel so much better about ourselves. Thank you so much. Have the best day.
You too.
We'll be in touch for sure.